Hi, I'm Jill McBride Baxter, and I've been a sports law attorney for 30 years, and a coach's kid, and a coach's wife. I get up every day to protect people, be an advocate, and their trusted advisor. Let's get after it.
All right, scouts evaluate players. How should parents and players evaluate agents? What kind of questions do they need to ask to figure out if an agent is the right fit for them?
Well, first they need to ask them, if they're a certified contract advisor with the union, because you have to be.
Okay.
You have to be registered with the compliance department at the university where you're recruiting a player, and then you also need to be registered in the state.
Okay.
So those are 3 registration requirements. Number 2, I would ask whether or not they have a law degree. Like I have a law degree, and a lot of people that do what I do. And I think that's really important because when it comes to defending somebody against a fine or negotiating a contract, which is what we're supposed to do,
right?
And being an advocate for them, there's a lot of situations that having a legal background
makes the difference, really.
Yeah, it makes a difference. If somebody gets into trouble, I can,
navigate the terrain.
I can navigate the legal terrain,
right.
Whatever it may be. And the CBA is a very complicated document. This is not a simple document. They need to understand that. I think another really important question is, I would just ask them what kind of situations they've got into with injuries, because injuries are a big, huge issue. Okay, what injuries have happened to a player and how did you handle it? Why would I ask that question? The most common problem is somebody getting injured.
Right.
And there is a certain process that you must follow according to the CBA. And you can't miss deadlines. You have to do it timely. That's another thing about being an attorney. You guys, we understand deadlines. Like if it says it's day 7, that's what they mean. And if you go past day 7, you just lost your claim. Okay, so I would really want to know how they handled injuries. The next thing I would want to know is how long they've been doing this. I mean, for instance, with me, I've been doing it I started in 1988, so that's a long time. Okay, that's like, 30 years or something. So if they've been doing it for a couple of years, I'd be a little nervous because they don't know all the things that could happen.
Right.
I mean, that's called experience. How much experience do they have? How long have they been a member of the union? Okay. Then I ask them whether or not they've ever been questioned by the union about anything or accused of anything by the union. Okay.
What kind of red flags, or what kind of things would be red flags?
I think one of the big red flags is what I call these marketing agreements, and there seems to be a real trend right now where they're having players sign marketing agreements.
Okay. And
this third party that is not monitored by the NFLPA is giving players money and then basically banking on them getting endorsements. Well, number one, endorsements are really hard to get.
Right.
And these marketing agreements are really illegal and considered an inducement. Or I would consider them to be an inducement, meaning they're trying to induce you to sign with them.
Okay, so I was going to say, explain what an inducement might be. Or maybe what's another example of an inducement?
An inducement is, I'm going to give you this if you sign with me. Okay? There's a contract that comes with that. I would ask them, I want to see your contracts. Any contracts that you make me sign. Okay? Because another big problem is training, which we'll talk about in other videos. But training is a huge problem because there's people that have you sign training agreements, and then all of a sudden you're with a certain agent and a certain trainer, and then you don't like the trainer. Now you're already in deep with this agent, in debt to the agent, and you can't get out of it. So you should not get in debt to the agent. Okay, I can tell you in another video how to handle that situation. But so I would want a copy of all their agreements beforehand. Okay. I know that sounds really, but I think a lot of agents don't talk about this because, and they don't talk about, by the way, it's an inducement. I still haven't figured out how they're all doing this, but they seem to be doing it.
Any other things to consider?
Well, I think you could ask for maybe some of the players that they've represented and have them call them.
That's a good idea.
I've also had a parent ask me for any GMs that I've worked with and have had them call that particular person or that particular coach that I've worked with on deals, which I thought it was a really good question by a parent.
To check out the relationship and...
Yeah, I mean, like, I know a lot of people in the NFL, so talk to this person. And then they'll tell you, how it was to deal with that person. And if you get a negative review, listen.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good question. Then I think the bigger one is, I think we should end with this, is you have to decide who you are as a person, who your values are. And then you can find an agent that has similar values, and it'll work out a lot better. And I think I get this question a lot, and I think it's one of the ones that I think doesn't really matter. Like, well, who have you represented? Well, I've represented tons of people, okay?
But they're not you.
But they're going to be different than you.
Yeah.
So, okay, like for instance, Marlon Moore played for 8 years. Just because he played for 8 years doesn't mean you're going to play for 8 years. Maybe you're going to play for 10 years. I hope you do. And his situation is different. I might have somebody else that has a completely different situation. So, every player is different. You have to be a very good problem solver and figure out what the client's needs are. Every client's needs are different. And you got to be able to maneuver through all the different situations. So that's why I said before, ask them what situations they've dealt with, and see what their relationships are like. Yeah. Get a sense for what they're doing. If you're a future draft pick or a current NFL player who's renegotiating their deal, please give me a call or visit my website at jillmcbridebaxter.com. You can also subscribe to my podcast on iTunes called Representation Without Taxation. I look forward to hearing from you.